Founders Fridays, as we continue all through the summer, because the success of these have been phenomenal, and I thank you so much for watching. And we are expanding into history all through the summer. Make sure you keep it where it is. We're trying to tell the story of America. We can't discover where we want to go until we learn where we've been and put some fundamental truths back in that have been erased from so many schools. We're back with Jim Schroeds. He's the author of Franklin, the Essential Founding Father, and Larry Schweikart, the author of a brand new book, 7 Events That Made America, America, and Proved That the Founding Fathers Were Right All Along. I got to tell you, Larry, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had where people will say, well, you know, we should do this. And if you know about the founders, you're like, yeah, well, they did that, and we took that out. And then they did that, and yeah, we took that out. I mean, all of our problems are because we're not listening to their common sense. You, sir, what was your question?
With all the wonderful characteristics that Franklin had, what are the 3 absolute essential characteristics that made him who he was?
Tough, cagey. He never led a campaign for civic improvement. He always got behind people because he realized that if he kept appearing to be the neighborhood activist, people would resent it. And the 3rd characteristic was a profound belief in the community doing things. That your job was to make your own fortune and make your own way, but while you were doing it, you were supposed to help him, you were supposed to help him.
But out of your own sense.
Oh, wow, absolutely.
Larry, can you tell me a little bit about George Washington and the list that he made for himself, you know, the rules on civility, the things that he believed, and then just follow it up and pick it up? Because the one thing I learned from reading about these guys, reading their own words, is they worked hard at being the guy that deserved to be on the money or in paintings.
Yeah, Washington develops this list of self-discipline items, and the most important part of that is that he actually kind of rereads it regularly. Where am I coming up short on each of these? I would have added to what Jim said that Franklin was thrifty. And he constantly practiced and talked about you've got to pay your debts. You've got to live within your means. How far have we fallen short from that one?
Well, he's the guy who did penny saved, penny earned. What are the phrases that we all know that come from him?
Early to bed, early to rise.
Neither a borrower nor a lender be.
I mean, it's amazing, and yet we don't teach it.
That's poor Richard all the way.
Yeah. So, all right. So Washington did this, and he made the list of things, and he would periodically check it. Was it Franklin that would check it? If I'm not mistaken, he would make a list in the morning, and it.
Franklin devised a 13-step list of virtues, and temperance, don't eat too much, pay your debts, don't lose your temper, blah 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 blah. 13 of them. And he would practice one every week. And he built himself a little cribbage board so he could keep track of it. So he practiced each of the 13 virtues every week. And that got him through a quarter. And so at the end of the year, he would have practiced all of those virtues at least 4 times. And it's interesting, he said he originally only did 12. And he was really proud of them, and he showed them to a Quaker elder who said, well, you might add another one. He said, what's that? He said, humility.
So he would take it, and he would have to...
He would be temperate all that week. He would be frugal all that week. He would be chaste all that week.
And then he would chase the week after?
That's right.
Okay, good. Back in just a second. Back with our guests, Jim Schroeds and Larry Schweikart, and we're talking a little bit about Benjamin Franklin. And Jim, I want to go to the moment of happiness in the Declaration of Independence, where it originally reads, you have the right to life, liberty, and property. And Franklin changes it.
Yes. He's the editor. there was a committee of 5. Essentially, it turned out Thomas Jefferson did the basic writing. Franklin was there by his side, editing, tightening, tweaking. And you're right, and you mentioned it last Friday. What people have asked me is, pursuit of happiness? Are we supposed to be jolly? No, happiness had 2 meanings. It meant to be happy and jolly, but it also goes back to its root stem, happenstance, chance. So people in those days understood it mean you had a right to the pursuit of your chance, your fortune, your luck. And that was so revolutionary, and it has never been repeated in any other Declaration of Independence or any other constitution of any other revolution. The chance to be better than you were born. And Franklin knew that. I mean, he had grown up in a soap factory. He knew that you had to have that guarantee.
It's amazing that the right to pursue happiness is chance.
Yes.
It's what we're doing now is we're trying to level the playing field, trying to make everything equal, trying to say, well, you can't have too much or you can't have too little. It was just give me the chance. And I think that's all that Americans, really humans, want. Just give me the chance.
He would hate too big to fail.
Yeah.
Because he was always prudent. This is, you ask another characteristic. Prudent business faces the fact that you may fail. Sometimes you should fail. But you pick yourself up and on you go. And the community should help you. But the idea that you don't get to fail means that you then take risks that are really insane.
Right, and it also goes back again to what we talked about at the very beginning of make people uncomfortable in their poverty. I mean, you push them out. You help them. You help them. But it's more of the hand up, not hand out. And you'll help them if they're sick, you'll help them, etc., etc. But you got to do it. You got to do it.
So when this was published around the world, people were slack-jawed at what it promised.
When did that go away, Larry? You've written the Patriots' History of America. When did America really lose that?
You know, I think you start seeing it go away by the 60s.
1860s?
No, 1960s. I mean, all the way past, even past the New Deal, there still is view that you should you should work your way up. It's got me choked
That's
out.
all right.
So I remember this time. I remember when my dad worked his way up as a farmer. And it was common for people to think the government shouldn't help you. They shouldn't come along and give you a handout. They shouldn't come along and give you food stamps. And I remember when food stamps first came out in the 60s, and they were going around trying to give them to people, and people saying, I don't need that. That's welfare. Get out of here. And say, but you've got to take it.
Yeah, I remember. I grew up in a bakery with my father. I remember those exact lessons. We'll be back. Final thoughts in a minute. Okay, a couple of things I want you to read. This is Larry Schweikart's latest seven events that made America, America, and Franklin, the essential founding father. Grab them, read more about them. You'll fall in love with this guy. From New York, good night, America.